If you believe in pressure makes diamonds, then I need you to click that like button right now, because the 5 players that I'm about to talk about on the show, the guys that their seats are really hot, I'm hoping that this heat right here creates a little bit of pressure and we can turn all these guys into diamonds, because if we do, it's going to be a lot of just win babies this upcoming season. Who's on the hot seat? We're going to be talking about it here on the Raiders Report. I'm Mitchell Renz, and I'm going to be ranking these players from 5 down to 1. The number 1 player is the guy that's got the most approved week 1 up against the Los Angeles Chargers. And I'm not saying up here that these players are at risk of losing their job. No, I'm saying that the seat's hot right now because the expectation or the fact that they need to go out there and they need to prove it right away, or else there's going to be more rumors, there's going to be some more comments, there's going to be more questions about whether or not they can do it on a weekly basis. So here's what I want you to do, and I want you to be honest with me. I rock silver and black just like every one of y'all, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say that a guy's on a hot seat. Sometimes it's just a cold, hard fact. I want you to name a Raiders player that right now, going into this week 1 game against the Chargers, is on the hot seat. I'm going to go here. Number 5 on the hot seat meter is Zamir White, the Raiders starting running back. And point blank, simple reason is you got big shoes to fill here with Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, when he was drafted in 2019, realistically, is like the only good pick that the Raiders have had in the first round since 2019, and he's going to go down in the history books as one of the best Raiders running backs of all time. Zeus showed you at the end of last season that he can be a reliable running back, but the Raiders do want to be able to implement a running back by committee. They went out and they signed Alexander Mattison, who's a good, not great running back, but Zeus in his first year has the opportunity to be the main running back. And I think when you're in your 3rd year as a 4th-round player, you know, you're not really expected that you're always going to get that opportunity. So I think for Zamir, and I think for Zamir's agent and his team, he goes, hey, if you want to prove that you deserve to be a bell cow back, if you want to prove that you deserve a big-time payday, like, you got to do it this year. Because if he can't prove it this season, then I don't know if he's going to ever get another opportunity. Whether it's fair or not because he's got Gardner Minshew as a quarterback, whether it's fair or not, or whether or not he's got a healthy offensive line, I think the bottom line is he's getting an opportunity now. And the window for running backs is so small that if you don't get it done in week 1, if you don't show right away that you can be a reliable back, you might not ever get that opportunity again to be that main back. Now, again, we saw it a little bit last season. Zeus looked really good those final 4 weeks of the season when Josh Jacobs was struggling with some injuries. And, you know, they were not afraid to give him a lot of work. Now, that's also with a different OC, different offensive line coach, a lot of different things working probably to Zeus's advantage this upcoming game. But, like, we got to be able to prove that we can take some pressure off our quarterback. Zamir's going to be a big focal point of that. He's got to run physical. He's got to take care of the football, no doubt about it. This is going to be a big matchup, though. Week 1 on the road at SoFi Stadium on September 8th. Every single person, y'all better be joining our watch party. I know that we had over 100,000 people joining our shows during the preseason. I expect 200,000 people here. We did a watch party for the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and the 49ers, 2 teams that I can't stand. We had almost 500,000 people joining. We're going to do a giveaway, which signed Maxx Crosby jersey? Signed Maxx Crosby jersey, courtesy of Tri-Van, we're going to be giving away on this day. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to number 4 here of Raiders on the hot seat entering this AFC West divisional rivalry game. I'm going to go with cornerback Jakorian Bennett, entering his 2nd year here in the NFL. And Jakorian, I actually think when I watch his tape, he passes the eye test a lot from an athletic standpoint. Does need to be a little bit better. In the 14 games that he played last season, had a 42.4 overall PFF grade. Not good against the run. Got burnt way too often in coverage. And you could see that he was just, I think, thinking way too much. It kind of reminds me of like Trevon Merrigan, his 2nd year in the NFL. And Merrigan even has spoke about this multiple times where he's like, I was thinking way too much instead of going out there and reacting. Bennett needs to prove that his struggles were just rookie struggles. Maybe with, Josh McDaniels as the head coach wasn't what you were looking for. But the Raiders are trusting him to be that cornerback 3. And when you look at actions, because actions speak louder than words, I think a lot of Raider fans, myself included, this entire offseason, we've been waiting for the Raiders to either add a veteran in free agency. We thought that the Raiders could potentially draft a corner at number 13. But AP, Tom Telesco, this regime has said time and time again, based on their actions, we believe in Jakorian Bennett. Maxx Crosby was asked over the offseason, who do you think is going to have a breakout year? He said Jakorian Bennett. We know what we got in Nate Hobbs. We know what we got in Jack Jones. Brandon Faison's not even on this team anymore. And you look at Darnay Holmes, he's a new addition. Harper, he's a new addition. But overall, this team is expecting a lot from Jakorian because they haven't done anything that shows you otherwise. We thought that they'd go out and add a corner. They have money to do it in the free agent market. But guess what? They have not done it. And that's because they believe in Jakorian Bennett. So here's your opportunity, Jakorian. You got to go out there. You got to prove it. For that reason, he's on the hot seat because I think out of all the other positions on your potential starting defense, that's the one where you circle if you're an offensive coordinator. You go, that's the guy that I'm going to go after because I'm not going to test Jack. I'm not going to test Nate, Marcus, or Trevon. You're going to go after Jakorian, and that's the guy that I think gets tested a lot. Now, before we get into the other things that I want to show here on the hot seat, to make sure that your seat's not burning up, which I'll tell you this, the deals that GameTime is going on right now, you might be sitting in a hot seat. These deals are pretty hot. $20 off with code ChatSports. Download the GameTime app today, the perfect app for the nation and all fans out there. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today. Lowest price guaranteed on those last-minute tickets. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I love GameTime because of the curated deals. Makes it easier to find the best price on great seats. I love seat views, which I like the fact that you can see before you buy. The lowest price guaranteed, and now they got this new thing. It's called the Super Deal, which the Super Deal, for anybody that watches the show, you know that I like a good deal. I'm also the type of person though where, like, if I go window shopping, the only way you're going to get me to walk into a store, which Alex and I were literally just doing this over the weekend, the only way you're going to get me to walk in through that store is if you give me a super deal, a deal where I'm like, all right, like, that's amazing. So when I go on GameTime right now, this is from earlier today, and it's already switched up based on what I'm looking at right now. Like, now the top deal is showing me it is C127, row 13, the top 1 percentile. Earlier when I looked today, I mean, this is a great deal. They also show where, like, sometimes it's like 10% off. It's tickets. This one that I'm looking at right now is top 10% value. This one says $27 off. Another one's in here that says top 5%, $42 off. The bottom line is GameTime is going to help you find the tickets because we don't all have a girlfriend that can, give us a ticket to the game for our birthday. But hey, download GameTime right now, $20 off with code ChatSports. That's ChatSports. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And please, I mean this, you got to go check out that super deal for any game that you go watch. And even for the people that plan on going out to Los Angeles for the Raiders game, maybe go check out a baseball game. Maybe go check out, a college football game. A lot of stuff, a lot of more than just NFL. Shout out to GameTime for sponsoring the Raiders Report. Let's go to the number 3 guy here on the hot seat, and it's Tyree Wilson. And this is he needs to go out there and he needs to prove it. And I know what I said at the beginning of the show, that nobody here is really truly, like, worth losing their job. I think Tyree Wilson's got to prove that he's better than Janarius Robinson, because I'm not afraid to sit up here and say that I have more confidence in Janarius Robinson than I do Tyree Wilson right now, which is not something I wanted to say. We've been all on this Tyree deserves a chance. Tyree's got a high upside, but he was a first-round pick, and he hasn't shown any promise in terms of improving this offseason. His 52.9 overall preseason PFF grade does not inspire much confidence. And here's, like, one of the most honest ways that I could say this. If Tyree Wilson cannot get it done, if you can't succeed with Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham, and Rob Leonard, one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL, you're the problem. Point blank simple. So this is a game where Tyree's got to go out there, whether they put him on the outside, whether they put him on the inside. He needs to be able to show that he can make an impact and not just get pushed around. Because if I'm the Raiders, I'm going, well, I can't really trust Tyree Wilson to get it done. And then you're going to see more out of Janarius Robinson. You're going to see more of Malcolm not being able to get that breather, Maxx not being able to get that extra breather that he needs. And I know Maxx never wants to come off the field, but for the Raiders, this is going to be a team that does a lot of 5 defensive linemen. You need those healthy rotations. You need fresh rotations. But then also, the elephant in the room is the Raiders' last 10 first-round picks. You got Brock Bowers this season. 2023, Tyree Wilson. Right now, kind of looks like a bust. 2022, Davante Adams. All right, that one worked out. 2021, Alex Otherwood. Bust. Henry Ruggs. Jail. 2020, Damon Arnett. Not even in the league anymore. Cleveland Ferrell. Bust. Josh Jacobs. Like, let's be real. Was a good pick. However, was at the running back position. 2019, Jonathan Abram. Stinks. 2018, Colton Miller. That works. Like, when you look at the amount of busts on that screen, it makes me want to throw up, right? Like, the amount of busts that you're seeing on screen, I'm actually surprised that didn't get blocked because Pornhub's blocked in Texas. That's how many busts right now are up there on that screen. And I do think if Tyree Wilson succeeds, it takes a little bit of pressure off Brock Bowers to succeed right away. And I know that Bowers is probably, I think he's a surefire not going to bust player. I know, knock on wood here. Knock on wood. But just because he's a hell of an athlete, he's one of the best college football players that has been out there. But, like, I think if Tyree does his thing, then this, like, we can stop this stupid Raiders just only draft first-round picks. And I think because Bowers right now is, battling a little minor injury. And, again, I'm making this video on Tuesday, so if we get an update after this video goes out, just keep that in mind. But, like, if Tyree plays well, and then I think it does take a little bit of pressure off Brock Bowers to go out there and just say, all right, not all first-round picks for the Raiders are busts. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's just going to be the entire Raiders offensive line. I thought about putting one player on here like a JPJ, maybe a Dylan Parham, but you know what? The entire Raiders offensive line, to me right now, is on the hot seat because there's just a lot of question marks. And the question marks are, how healthy is this team? Are we prepared to go up against a Chargers team that the last time that you went up against them in SoFi Stadium, they embarrassed you? Now, I've talked to a few of the Raiders offensive linemen that were in that game, and, like they've told me that they don't think it's fair that they're getting blamed for 7 sacks. They feel like that Aidan should have got some of those as well, just because he's unable to move in the pocket. Well, now you have a quarterback in Gardner Minshew that can feel pocket a little bit better, has some more awareness, but you got a brand new offensive line coach in James Craig. And when you allow 7 sacks at SoFi, that's what a lot of people are going to be looking at. Is Colton Miller healthy? Is Cody Whitehair ready for the job? I don't want Cody Whitehair to be out there starting left guard. I would rather you put Andres Pete if you're not thinking JPJ is ready to go. But we could talk about Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, Gardner Minshew, Zamir White. It's not going to matter unless our offensive line goes up there and actually wins in the trenches. Because I know that the Chargers offensive line, they got 2 really solid tackles. Raiders got to be able to dominate this game in the trenches, or else they're not going to beat Jim Harbaugh and I almost said Michigan Wolverines. Before I get into the player that's got the most approved, the hottest seat of all, we got some hot tickets right now. Chatsports.com/TopGolf. If you want to hang out with Chuggs and I in North Carolina on Saturday, you can get one ticket for $20. And if you end up winning, I'm just going to say it's probably like a $500 value. 3 hours worth of Topgolf. Free appetizers. There's going to be other food deals there, drink deals. There's going to be raffle items. So, like, you could pay $20, hang out with Chuggs and I for 3 hours, get in some free Topgolf, have a chance to win a bunch of free prizes, raffles, get some food in your belly. It's going to be an unbelievable experience. So all I ask is, if you're not going out to SoFi and you live on the East Coast, even if you don't like golf, come pull up and hang out with Chuggs and I. Chatsports.com/TopGolf. This Saturday, this link down in the comments, down in the description, and family friendly. We can have some fun. That I can promise you. Let's go. Number 1 player on the Raiders hot seat. This should not surprise anybody. It is Gardner Minshew. It is easy to be named the starting quarterback. It is. But guess what's not easy? Keeping the job. And he is a journeyman quarterback who's got to prove that he deserves to keep it, because if he goes out there and he struggles week 1, there's going to be a lot of people going, oh, it's time to put in Aidan. They got to put in Aidan. And I know that if you were to ask most Raiders fans when they made the decision to start Gardner or naming Gardner the starter over Aidan, there was a lot of people that were upset about it. Hell, there's people that are still upset about it. And I'm not going to be afraid to say, like, I always thought that Gardner was going to be the starting quarterback. But if Gardner goes out there week 1 and he shits the bed, like I'm talking, he looks really, really bad, then I'm going to stand up here on this show and I'm going to go, well, you at least got to consider giving Aidan O'Connell a chance. The only way that you're going to make the Aidan O'Connell conversation go away is if Gardner Minshew goes out there and does his thing. Because logistically, like legitimately, the right word, the Raiders haven't had a quarterback that I would say is a good quarterback, top 16 QB, since 2016. you can say what you want about Derek Carr. 2017, after the injury, he was not a top 16 quarterback. Then he got stuck with Josh McDaniels. I get it. He had a lot of different head coaches, a lot of different offensive coordinators. You can say the exact same thing about Gardner Minshew. So, we need to see the best version of Minshew take care of the football, not take too many sacks, create with his legs, and if he can just get us to 21 to 24 points on offense with the skill position players we have, you're going to not hear a lot of conversation about Aidan. And I probably talked more about Aidan and Gardner than anybody this offseason, and I don't really want to talk about it. Why? Because if I'm bringing it up, it means the Raiders aren't winning games or Gardner's playing bad. If I'm not talking about it at all, it means Gardner's doing his job. And at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I don't care who the Raiders starting quarterback is. I've said it before. I don't care if it's Aidan O'Connell, Carter Bradley, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Jeremy Chuggs. I just want to win football games. So let me know down below, who did I leave off my list? Is there somebody out there like, Mitch, this guy's seat is way hotter than those 5 players that you just mentioned, okay? And somebody said you left off Getsy. Kinda. I'm also going to tie in Antonio Pierce. I'm going to tie in Patrick Graham. And I'm also going to tie in Luke Getsy because you got a brand new staff. Mark Davis believed in Antonio Pierce enough to name him the interim head coach. And I'm not saying that the Raiders chose Antonio Pierce over Jim Harbaugh because maybe Harbaugh would have chose the Chargers overall anyway. But I do think that by the Raiders saying that Antonio Pierce is going to be our guy, and it was always like he was going to be the guy, you could have had Jim Harbaugh. You're going up against him in week 1. Antonio Pierce had an opportunity to bring in some of his coordinators. We thought that we were going to have, what's his name? He ended up not, Cliff Kingsbury, F that guy. He ends up going to Washington. We're now stuck with Luke Getsy. Antonio Pierce's seat is hot. Not in the idea that he's going to get fired. He's going to be your head coach this entire season. But I want to see AP prove it against Jim Harbaugh. And because the amount of times I heard Harbaugh's got a better resume, Harbaugh's a better coach, that might all be true. But I think Antonio Pierce was the right man for the job, and he was the perfect hire, and I want him to go out there and prove exactly what I think he's going to do, and he's going to win.
Mitch, you know who else is on the hot seat? You.
I am on the hot seat. I don't even know if I'm on the hot seat. Dave, you're on the hot seat for making me go to a wedding. I got to miss week 1 of this football game here. Rehearsal dinner. That's what I'm going to be doing. Wedding's Friday. Don't worry, I'll be doing the actual watch party. But Chuggs, he's going to be live this Thursday. We're going to be cheering on the Ravens up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Whoever is the MVP of this game, maybe it'll be Suavemente, Noah. I'm going to wear your jersey in North Carolina for that week 1 kickoff party. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're tuned in. But make sure you pull up and have some fun with Jeremy, Smitty, and everybody here on the Raiders Report. Because even though I won't be here, we're still going to go live. You guys deserve it. We have the best fans in all the world. But help us cheer on against FKC.